Let's quickly go across to my colleague Pankaj as he joins in. We're keeping it with discussing the key themes that are dominant in the market, and one such is pharmaceuticals. Is the tide turning for the entire space? Are we looking at pharma companies really seeing a strong reason for a rebound from these levels? Pankaj actually joins in with some more perspective, and then of course we'll be touching base with the management of Dr. Reddy's. Pankaj, go ahead.
Well, thanks for that. If we just look at the pharma space and look at some of the returns that have happened over the last 10-12 days or off the lows, you can see Sun Pharma on your screen is up 30-odd%, Lupin is up 20-odd%, and Aurobindo is up close to about 18-odd%. And that's the PE multiple also that you can see on the left-hand side. Sun Pharma continues to be the market leader with 24 times, but it had come down to 21-20 times in terms of an entire estimate, and now that has gone up to 24. Some of the other names like Dr. Reddy's have also done well. Dr. Reddy's is up 22% from its recent lows, and Cipla is up 19%. Cipla is trading at 22 times. Cipla also always gets a premium, but you could see some of the other companies that they have not got a premium. Now, what market has been focusing in on is what news flow has come. And that's why the street is getting so excited. So you had Sun as well as Aurobindo's Unit 4 getting cleared, which are one of the biggest units. And when they get cleared, the sense is that, the entire Indian pharma space has gone through the problems of US FDA, and now they are changing. Import alert of DVs has already been lifted. This is something we covered quite extensively, and companies which were earlier into generics have now started to file for complex drugs. Biogenerics have started to get some sort of approval, so there is some amount of visibility as far as R&D spend is concerned, and that's the reason why the street is excited. All of these stocks have not been performing for 4 years, and that's why it was not a consensus buy sort of a name, and valuations were trading at probably a multi-year low. At least for some of the large cap names, valuations were particularly towards the lower end of what they have seen, and that's probably the reason why when the news came in, it was extremely fast. Now, what are the triggers to watch out for? What are the news flow that now the markets will focus on? So Lupin has two plants, one in Goa, one in Indore Unit 2. Lifting of warning letter over there will be a key trigger for the industry. Remember, these are two companies or two units of Lupin which have always been good, but now they are facing some warning letter issues. So let's see what happens. In fact, even the observations over there were same. So once this gets listed, it will be one of the key things. Apart from this, there are a lot of drug approvals that are remaining. So an EIR for Dr. Reddy's Srikakulam unit. This is the API unit which is still under the warning letter. Company has some filings over there. It's not a pretty high volume generator for Dr. Reddy's versus what it is when you consider Halol or Unit 4 of Aurobindo. But it's still a decently big unit. It's still an important unit, and that's why clearance of this would be important. Now, we got generic Suboxone approval coming in for Dr. Reddy's. These are some of the other drugs which could be important. So for Sun Pharma, once they get Lupron approval, it will be an important event for the entire industry. Similar is the case with Aurobindo, Lupin and Dr. Reddy's, and these are the key approvals that the street would be awaiting for from now till probably the next 7-8 months. These are some of the drugs that market would be eyeing out for. Apart from this, you have the Q4 commentary which points out that margins can go up because of the depreciation that you've seen in rupee. Remember, all these companies are highly export driven companies, so what's the impact on margins? As well as the management commentary point out that there could be a recovery as far as US pricing pressure is concerned, and that's why Q1 and Q2 numbers will be important. These will be, for most of the companies, there would be a YOY growth in the US business. Q4 has already seen that for a lot of companies, but in the Q2, it's expected to go ahead and increase from here on.
Okay, and who better than the gentleman himself, Soumen Chakrabarti, President, CFO and Global Head of IT and BPE at Dr. Reddy's, joining us on the show right now. Soumen, hi, morning. We at ET now have completed 9 years and thank you so much for being an important part of the journey. Tell us a little bit more about, you joining us on this momentous day.
Yeah, my heartfelt congratulations to ET now on completion of this milestone. I find it's quite informative and insightful whenever I watch ET now. And I also find there is a good gender diversity there. I think you have a talented pool of women anchors as well there. So overall, I wish all the best to ET now for next decade.
Thank you so much, Somin. But tell us, in the last 9 years, how has the Indian pharma changed really in the US markets? The size, the leaps and bounces that they've had?
So we can just bifurcate the last 9 years into the first 5 years and the last 4 years. In these 9 years, you would have noticed the global pharma in itself would have shrunk a bit, but the generics industry in the first 5 years of these last 9 years have really grown very well. It was an exciting time. Of course, in the last 4 years, there have been quite a few headwinds. You have seen the consolidation of customers in USA leading to quite a bit of price erosion. Last 3 consecutive years, the price erosion has been mid to high teen level. So that has put a lot of pressure in the generics industry. There have been definitely more stringent regulatory oversight into the compliance, and some of us have been still trying to find out the best way to meet the requirements, although there has been a lot of progress which has happened on this front. And there have been the currency crisis which happened in the emerging markets, which led to some problems specifically in countries like Russia, and also a country where we used to operate, that is Venezuela, where the overall size has shrunk. So there have been some headwinds which happened in the last 4 years, but overall, if you see the last 9 years, in my view, there would have been a CAGR of 10% plus and minus a few hundred basis points for different players in the generic industry.
Right. Somin, Indian large pharma has invested a lot over the last 9 years. Do you think they will continue to invest to get into new areas over the next 9 years as well? We are expecting a lot of R&D activity to happen, research and development to happen within the space.
Yeah, because there are opportunities which are there, and if you have to tap the opportunity, you need to invest both in R&D as well as creating the capacity. So I think if we speak for ourselves, we have made significant investment. Going forward, the level of investment, particularly in capacity creation, is going to settle down or stabilize. It is not going to increase. But R&D is something the fundamental lever of growth in generic pharma. So on an absolute level, I don't think there would be any kind of reduction in R&D, because that you do for ensuring growth in future, for the company.
Right. How do you see the next 9 years? Do you see a 10% CAGR to continue over the next few years as well for the business?
Difficult to speculate for next 10 years. One can hope one can get there, but it will all depend on the productivity of the R&D that you do in the organization, and your ability to execute well and always meet the regulatory requirements. If these 3 things are taken care of, I think that kind of growth opportunity could be possible.
Okay, then how do you see US pricing pressure? Is it at its peak, or what's the outlook on the pharma sector in the US markets? Is that by far the largest market you think you would cater to?
So already the kind of consolidation which has happened, it is very difficult to foresee that further consolidation on that basis. But with the kind of number of approvals which has been happening, clearly the market is getting divided into a plain vanilla generics and a complex generic space, which in a plain vanilla now there are too much of competition where there would be hardly any margin. But in a complex generic space, depending on specific molecules, there would be still opportunities to pursue. And if we get approvals on time and execute on your launches quite well, there could be good profits on those specific molecules.
In the previous 9 years, R&D was the main investment, but do you think going ahead, R&D investment and better OPEX as well as CAPEX for plants will be the differentiator?
Yeah, in our industry, R&D is the main differentiator. Having said that, you can always supplement the organic growth by a few inorganic opportunities. If we can get the right kind of opportunities, which could be more strategic to you, and where you can create some synergy, and that also provide further growth impetus. But R&D will continue to be the primary lever. And so far as cost leadership and other is concerned, there has to be continuous focus on that, as well as adoption of right kind of technology which can help you to get those advantages.
Right. We recently spoke to Lupin. They're of the view that automation is really the game changer in the sector. Would you agree automation will solve a lot of problems?
Yeah, automation definitely helps. If you really want to get the best quality, you require mistake proofing or poka-yoke, and that can be done by interlocking or a right kind of automation, and also it will help improve the productivity. So that definitely remains a game changer. But beyond automation, now there is a lot of advancement in artificial intelligence, specifically on machine learning. That can provide some invaluable insights, which if you work on, you can get further competitive advantage.
Do you think emerging markets give a good opportunity for Indian pharma players to invest if already not in various countries?
Yeah, emerging markets, see, US still will continue to be the dominant player. We cannot wish away that. But after USA, emerging markets really is a playing field where one can expand yourselves. For us, fortunately, Russia, CIS is the region for where we have been there for a long time and has established ourselves quite well. We have got good franchise with the doctors, with the distributors, with the local statutory authorities, which helps. But beyond that, for example, in LATAM, last 2-3 years, we opened countries such as Colombia, we have re-entered Brazil. And if you have good kind of molecules to bank on, then you can be successful in those markets. Another very attractive market in emerging market is China. And again, there we have been present for last 18 years through joint venture. And we have made a good success of it so far. And China is a country which is going to grow. In terms of growth rate, China and India growth could be potentially even higher than what US provides. So that way, if you have presence in emerging market, going to be quite helpful for individual players in the pharma industry.
Okay, so lastly, Samin, I know it's going to be a little inappropriate to talk about Suboxone, but what about the outlook on Indian pharma, considering that there is this increasing awareness of Mediclaim, better hospitals, facilities, etc. as well? Do you expect pharma to grow into double digit?
I think there would be more innovations in terms of not necessarily in the product space, but in catering to the patient needs with more personalized medicine and personal healthcare services which could be provided to the patients. And with the evolution of in overall big data space, companies who can leverage that, establish better connect with far greater empathy for the patients, come up with required kind of innovation for improving compliance of taking medicines, for ease of use of taking medicines, and overall better control of the diseases. Those companies will have some competitive edge over others. It would be quite interesting how Indian markets is going to evolve over the next few years.
Somin, such a pleasure having you today on the show, and especially given that we turned 9, it was great that you could, take time out and join us on this very special day at ET Now. Thanks so much. Dr. Reddy is seeing that bit of pressure because of that US court slapping an order on DRL saying that they can't sell generic Suboxone in the US markets. But I guess that's a very temporary phenomena considering the US FDA have already given them that go ahead. So Dr. Reddy is currently lower, and that dip immediately got bought into, I guess, because it started gap down by about 1.5% DRL, and that's also gotten covered into. Now the stock is just about nudging the green line. That's pretty much the case with the rest of the market as well. It seemed like a quiet start, and it remains quiet. So just a little soft, down about 21 odd points, about 0.8% slip coming in for the small cap index.